find the larger populace of Jamaicans that are throughout this second largest continent. Our work has been great. We have a multiplicity of organizations who work from the education sector. So we have from the various old boy, old girl school connections of the alumni who have donated a great deal of monies with regards to aid in schools, with regards to resources, the refurbishing of the actual buildings, to different technical equipment donations that have been done. As we saw Dr. Sylvanus Thomas earlier on, we have a great deal of the medical supplies and contributions that were given throughout COVID, the numerous other supplies that were given that are from medical CT scan and for the donations that were given, the funds that were raised there. We have Dan Tomlinson and his group, the St. Thomas Eye Care Vision Group, who goes to Jamaica and handles at least 2 to 3 different clinics throughout the year to be able to help with glaucoma and various other testing that is required for numerous individuals in the rural areas. We have various partnerships with either police forces or our different other partners in banking and the Carpenters Union, who have gone, helped with food for the poor with regards to building schools, who have on a continuous level continued to give back. The donations and remittances, as you know, that come out of Canada are very large. So we're thoroughly connected in all of the parishes, and we continue to do a lot of great work. Most of our emphasis, though, as you can see, is in education, the healthcare field, and of course, with regards to entrepreneurial investments that we do. And we now have a lot of individuals who are looking to the aspects of infrastructure. A lot of the funding and the concerns are about getting proper roads, sanitation, sewer appropriately aligned for our rural areas of the country to make sure that we deal with the proper health indexes and metrics of our people so we can have greater outcomes and better outcomes when we're talking about the success measures of businesses and being able to actively engage in our communities and our society as a whole.
Thank you, Ms. Blackburn. And you have or the luxury of having Consul General Donor, who was pivotal in the creation of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. So we're jealous in the USA. Thank you, Ms. Blackburn.
Mr. Lloyd Wilkes also. So I'd have to say, actually, Canada has been excellent in the sense that we've had some great consul generals and high commissioners who have all been very pivotal with regards to the work with regards to diaspora. So Sheila Seeley there. We also have CG Ramakan. So if you went through the list, we've been very fortunate to have them on our soil. So thank you for pointing that out.
All right, we'll go to Ms. Naila Gordon-DeCiccio. She is the representative for Canada too. All right, so we will go to Dr. Kevin Brown in the UK North while we wait on Ms. Naila Gordon-DeCiccio. I will say,
thank you, Sean.
Yes. No. I was going to say, right before we go with Naila Gordon-DeCiccio, she has just recently been appointed as a prosecutor in her region. So we're very proud of Naila. Yes. All right, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Shauna. And yes, congratulations to Naila and her success in her law career. It's also a pleasure to be here with members of the council, mainly the elected members and also the youth council. So my reflections as an elected member of the council, well, we had elections in late 2019, and I guess the first challenge was to make the diaspora community in the UK aware of what is the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, its objectives, responsibilities, and also the fact that we had two roles to be filled, a representative for the UK North and a representative for the UK South, my colleague Nathaniel Peet. So we had elections here and that allowed us to create some awareness around the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. But I must say that, 2.5 years on, that work still continues in terms of really ensuring that the vast majority of the diaspora know what the council is about. But having overcome the elections and I was successful in my bid, the next challenge was COVID-19, which occurred in early 2020. And so a lot of my time in 2020 was around supporting diaspora associations in the UK North, but also across the UK. And I worked closely with the diaspora in the city where I was based in Nottingham City. And we co-founded what we call the Marcus Garvey Action Group, where we supported the elderly in the diaspora community by serving over 2,000 hot meals. Every weekend, we delivered door-to-door hot meals to the elderly during COVID-19, and also provided other support where required. And I must thank Grace Foods UK and other companies who supported us in that initiative. The other thing that the council got involved in was that COVID-19 telethon, where we were asked, myself and many other members on the council, to support the Jamaica COVID-19 telethon to raise funds to purchase protective equipment for healthcare workers in Jamaica. And we raised over 50 million Jamaican dollars, along with, of course, several other partners and supporters in that initiative. But I would say that one challenge we had, certainly in 2020, was that because of COVID-19, you know, the interaction that one would have wanted with the diaspora, the various diaspora associations, was pretty limited. And a lot of diaspora associations took some time before they were able to get to grips with virtual meetings and Zoom meetings and so on. So it took a while to be able to interact with the wider constituency. But I did get involved in a lot of local campaigns. In the UK, we had the Windrush immigration scandal, and you know, we've been working to get justice for victims of that horrendous crime, I would say, in terms of how members of the Jamaican community were treated. Some of them having lived in the UK for 4 decades, now being told that they weren't citizens or could not apply to be citizens. And that campaign continues. The other issue, of course, was Black Lives Matter in the UK after the murder of George Floyd, and also the Commonwealth Games and the lack of diversity in the organizing committee, which myself and others had to challenge to sort of change that narrative, because the Games are being held in Birmingham, which is one of the most diverse cities in the UK. So overall, I've been very active across the UK North, working with various diaspora associations. And last year we had our diaspora symposium, where I was also very active as well. But the key thing that has kept me very busy at the council is leading the partnerships working group. And I must say thanks to the several council members on that team, fantastic team, and we've accomplished some great things. We have 3 flagship projects, which I won't go over in this.
Your video has been airing and it's been received very well.
Absolutely. So, I must thank the team for their support and all our partners as well. These projects are, of course, ongoing, but I'm hoping that we will see them come to fruition in the coming months. So, I guess in summary, Shauna, there have been many challenges, of course, some of them external to the council. But I think that, we've been very privileged to be the pioneers, to be the first ones to have a go at being part of the Global Council. And I'm hoping that the lessons learned will certainly empower the new members to come in over the next many years that I'm sure the council will be in existence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I will say also, Dr. Brown, that you've been very vocal when you talk about, in your region particularly, when the individuals through their crisis were being removed, and you were very vocal and spoke up very prominently to Minister Johnson Smith at the time, was our chair, and you didn't say that piece, but I think that was very important. I think you advocated very well for your community during that time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have the second member for the UK, Mr. Nathaniel Peat from UK South. Mr. Peat, are you with us?
Thank you very much, Shauna, and it's good to see you in Jamaica.
I will say before you speak is that, so I had the unfortunate accident of falling in Jamaica. I fractured my left thumb, And so Nathaniel decided that he also wanted to fracture something. So he fractured his whole arm. So that is why he's not here in person.
Despite a broken hand, it does not stop the work. And this is the resilience of Jamaicans in the United Kingdom. I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
the South region of the United Kingdom has some of the largest diaspora groupings of individuals. And as my esteemed colleague Kevin in the North alluded to the fact that we had incredible COVID issues and problems with those in the South, it was definitely a problem for many of our elderly people as well as children that were suffering in terms of food because the parents had lost their jobs or gone into redundancy or have been furloughed in the United Kingdom. And as a result of these things, what happened was we then mobilized with the church community as well as members that are active within foods, those owning restaurants, those owning food related industry sectors, whether they are doing things like importation of food. And what we did is we then hired church halls as well as doing these food giveaways, whereby the individuals that could not come out, the elderly people, the diaspora members then would go and collect the food from the church halls, deliver them directly to those houses during the COVID-19 crisis that we faced. There was other things that was done by key diaspora representatives. One person, Dr. Pearl Jarrett, in fact, that runs the Jarrett Foundation in the United Kingdom, helped to mobilize masks, and she sent down a wide volume of masks into Jamaica, working with the ministry, as well as doing a fundraiser for oxygen medical equipment. There are other foundations that have worked with this, like the Angel Foundation that helped to supply IT suites. And this has been a hot topic in Jamaica right now, whereby, you know, young people need laptops, they need to have computers, and this is to help Jamaica with the digital transition, where the diaspora has donated and given these suites to certain schools. There has also been a number of diaspora engagement sessions we've done with the Jamaica Stock Exchange. This is for diasporans to understand how they can invest in the Jamaican Stock Exchange, how they can list on the Stock Exchange, where these forums have then been streamed via Facebook groups and also diaspora groups, as well as connecting them community meetings held by VM Group as well in terms of housing. We have shown the diaspora ways in which we can assist with their applications to get citizenship as well, as another way of trying to engage the diaspora through their heritage. We've had organizations just like the Jamaica Basic School Foundation, which through this time has donated several thousands of pounds down to basic schools in Jamaica to assist them. A number of diaspora members have also contributed to orphanages. We've had several fundraising efforts ourselves. We too were part of the telethon efforts in the South, but we, in addition to that, did a concert in the South, which was for the Jamaica Floods Appeal. We have been involved politically as well, whereby we have supported the justice groups around the deportation of children that have, were due to be deported from Jamaica, and we stopped certain people from being deported. We have intervened using our human rights lawyers here in the United Kingdom to create tangible changes in people's life by stopping them getting on the flight when they are going to be deported. After George Floyd, key members of the diaspora then held meetings with the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to look at an action plan to try to stop racism within the police. As a result of that, what happened is the mayor's action plan for race, equality, and transparency has been born within the Metropolitan Police Force, which is probably the most powerful police force in the region of the United Kingdom, to look at ways in which we could actually assist them in training their new officers so they do not harass our Black young men, which are oppressed, disproportionately oppressed through both the prison criminal justice sector as well as when they are on the streets with stop and search. We have had engagement with the faith-based organizations, whereby we have connected them to diaspora-related functions, as well as supporting groups like the Sons of the Father movement, which is about empowering young men. There has been great philanthropic efforts, and I know we're close to time. But we don't
No,
have time.
actually, I'm going to throw to you after the break. We have just a quick segment break, and so I don't want to interrupt your train of thought. So I want to just go ahead and take a quick break so that we can go back to you after the break. All right? So thank you for being with us. We are going to go to a short break, and we'll be right back with you.
The Jamaica Business Development Corporation brings ideas to life. From concept to market, we're here to guide micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. Nurturing talent. Developing products. Providing expert advice. Creating business solutions. How can we help you? The JBDC, supporting small businesses in Jamaica. Traveling to Jamaica with unaccompanied shipment? The Jamaica Customs Agency is encouraging all air passengers with unaccompanied shipments who have a taxpayer registration number, TRN, to present it to Customs upon arrival. This will subsequently facilitate faster processing when clearing your unaccompanied shipments. The Jamaica Customs Agency will continue to implement measures to improve our service delivery and your service experience. You may contact us at 876-922-5140-8 or email public.relations@jca.gov.jm on this and other customs-related matters. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Welcome back. We are in the session regarding the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, the insights, the lessons we've learned, and our next steps. We are in the process of speaking to the UK South representative, Mr. Nathaniel Peat. Mr. Peat, are you still with us?
I'm still here. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Absolutely. There's a lot of exciting things out of the UK between you and Dr. Brown.
There's just one more thing I want to mention. Athletics has been a real issue for me.
I want you to go back to, you were talking about the faith-based. You were saying, you said something important there.
That's right, right. So the faith-based communities have a number of different diaspora members across most of the denominations. And this was about connecting them directly, whereby we had a letter which was pushed out into all of the churches to let them know exactly what the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council is about. And that was a letter which we pushed into some of the networks, so the large churches, as well as connecting them to other organizations such as the Sons of the Father movement, which is a movement really to empower the men and the sons which are in our Jamaican community, because oftentimes they get a hard time in most of the regions, to be honest. The black men, they really have a problem. So that movement in itself really was to empower these champions for legacy planning and to help them with what they want to achieve. The very last thing that I want to mention is around athletics. There were a number of athletes that wanted to be engaged in Olympics or Commonwealth Games. They are second and third generation that are competing at an international and European level. We have assisted them to connect directly to Jamaica, where you have members like Donicia Francis with gymnastics, members like Alton Brown with karate, members like Jessica with karate as well, and others which have done, and rugby as well, and judo. And these are ways in which we have supported them, as well as supporting the netball teams, football teams, etc., through fundraising, which is a critical part of our profile within these regions. We have gone a step further than that. In some of these athletes now that have come to the end of their career in the United Kingdom have now been accepted as job roles within working with youth within the Commonwealth Games. So the legacy beyond their sport now continues, and we have thrown full support behind those diaspora members to really promote Brand Jamaica. It's about reigniting for greatness. This is about really putting the fire underneath the United Kingdom of what we stand on the legacy of those who came on the Windows generation. And both myself and Kevin working together are really pushing forward in this region to ensure that we can do more for this region to help Jamaica, to reconnect Jamaica back to its diaspora, and to encourage the investment and philanthropic work
Thank you, Mr. Pete. All right, so we have the remaining members for the elected members are of the USA, and I want to switch it up a little bit to find out. We've heard all the exciting things happening across the regions, but due to time, we only have maybe 20 more minutes left. So I want to refocus with the USA and talk about some of the challenges that we have had in your particular regions. We'll go to Dr. Karen Dunkley, who's next on the roster. Hi, Dr. Dunkley.
How are you doing, Shauna? Greetings and salutations from the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast, certainly to everyone who's joined us online and in person, and certainly to you. Great seeing my colleagues. I must begin with gratitude. I hear challenges, but the Northeast Jamaica Diaspora has had such a legacy of success that it is incumbent upon me to recognize the amazing individuals and the organizations that continue to contribute of their time, their talent, and their treasure to Jamaica's national development. We engage with Teachers College in a social impact measurement project, and Teachers College, in a very small window, was able to quantify, and that project is in progress. When we think about the time, the talent, and the treasure, in terms of quantifying in dollars, we have given over 1.5 million in service hours and over 7 million United States dollars between the pandemic to date. And so that is worthy of acknowledgement. It is worthy of applause because we are volunteers who love our country.
Absolutely,
I must also recognize a group of individuals who I have had the privilege and the honor to serve alongside the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast think tank, comprised of our state leads. We are 14 states and our sector chairs. We have 5 active sectors. We have crime and citizen security, education, health and wellness, economic development and empowerment, and faith-based. We also have an extraordinary partnership with different communities that focus on and organizations on food and agriculture. So again, it's important just to recognize. I want to point out, Shauna, that for us, we look and we think about our work strategically in terms of projects, policies, and partnerships. We've heard a lot about the projects, and the Northeast, as you could see from the social impact measurement, is not short. Our greatest legacy will continue to be our policy areas of focus. We want to change the system, improve the system of engagement to ensure that the diaspora is embedded not only as a financial remittance piece, but that the intellectual capacity is captured throughout the institutions of Jamaica. And one of the key policy areas that we are focused on is appointment to the public boards. The Jamaica Diaspora gives to education, health, and is concerned with crime and citizen security. And so we've asked for specific engagement and inclusion in public boards. The other piece is just to recognize that special education, when it comes to our children, remains at the core, and how we treat and address students with exceptionalities. So this is a place to recognize the work of Inclusive Schools Caribbean, led by Ms. Iris Reed, who provides free of cost. If we were to pay for that, we could not afford it. Free of cost to schools across the Caribbean, including Jamaica, best practices and model lessons to engage students who learn differently. And we must also applaud the partnerships we have had with Separate and Muslim Foundation with the internet hotspots. During the height of the pandemic in rural communities, Separate and Muslim played an instrumental role, along with the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast United States and our sponsors, such as School News Nationwide and Miss Lorraine Smith. The final piece is to recognize, and let me shout out, I'm right here at Michael, getting ready to speak to their class. Michael Michael University College is also another partner. Sam Sharp Teachers College, also one of our other great partners. let me shout out two legacy pieces, because this is not about Karen Dunkley. This is about, again, how we improve systems. So we know, of course, we heard, beginning with Yvette, the various missions, the education missions, the health missions. This year, we had a historic mission from around COVID-19, including many partners, and Claudette Powell mentioned earlier. It was led under the auspices of the Consul General of New York, Mrs. Wilson, along with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And we have heard just as recent that so many of the outcomes of this historic mission now serve as a model for future engagement around medical missions in Jamaica. Telehealth with the Jamaica Cancer Society. Congratulations again to Lorraine Smith and the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast Health Sector, Claudette Powell and Dr. Gary Rule, and our Chief Medical Advisor, Dr. Robert Clark. And I take the time to call their names because they take the time to volunteer themselves every day and every time we call. And finally, we want to thank, and Nathaniel, you spoke about Jamaica Stock Exchange. We've had such a great partnership with Marlene Street Forest and Neville Ellis on the ventilator project. Ours is the goal, again, around innovation, that as Jamaicans, we have to become sustainable. We saw where supply chains were disrupted, and so we have to build within our countries where we can reproduce and repair our own ventilators as well. So Shauna, that is where I leave you. Our policy directions continue. We're advocating, of course, for engagement with the public boards. We're advocating for Jamaica to resolve the question of independence in its 60th anniversary. And so we really need to no longer be a proxy of Britain. And we need also to resolve our question and our attitude around crime. So thank you so much. And I wouldn't ask for a better group of colleagues to serve with during this moment in history than you. And again, we shouted out the consulates to Consul General Wilson and Ambassador Audrey Marks, 4 of the states in the Northeast directly aligned to the embassy in Washington, D.C. It has been an amazing partnership, and we look forward to continued success as we communicate, connect, and collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dunkley. We have coming up next Dr. Alan Cunningham. Dr. Cunningham, before you come in, I want to let you know that just similar to Mr. Pete, we might have to throw to a quick break during the time that you speak, but be sure that we'll be coming right back to you. All right? Dr. Cunningham, welcome. Dr. Cunningham, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A lot of the specifics that I wanted to touch on have already been mentioned, so I won't bore anybody with additional info.
And we don't have much time. So what happened exactly well in your region? What went well? And tell me what went well, and what do you think are some of the challenges that you have faced?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Shauna, Vice Chair. It is indeed my privilege to serve on the council. I have met beautiful and important Jamaicans that have provided guidance and provided tools for success. The engagement is wonderful. Jamaicans are very receptive of the council and are willing to work and participate in the growth of the council. So I'm extremely happy for the full support of all Jamaicans in the southern region. I am well pleased and proud to represent all Jamaicans here in the 13 states, and I would just want to take the time to highlight the Office of the Jamaican Consulate, in particular our Consul General, who has provided his unwavering assistance in the execution of my role. Thank you very much, CG. In terms of challenges, COVID-19 was a great devastation to effective engagement. Nonetheless, we have utilized the full advantages of technology, and Zoom became our best friend. The distance between the 13 southern states were a good probably 3 to 4 hours of traveling by air, and so it was difficult and an extremely challenging position for me, traveling and making sure that I'm able to execute my duties with limited resources. Balancing family, work, and effective engagement was difficult. Allocating time for council meetings were challenging but rewarding. Access to immediate information to share with the diaspora in a timely fashion was also a challenge. It would have been great to have a structured model of engagement and to analyze the cost in doing so. I personally have spent in excess of $8,000 over the past 2 years in the execution of my duties. I remember the saying of a famous Jamaican, it takes cash to care. And so I am reminded that, you know, it's a little bit discouraging when you're not able to effectively carry out your mandate because of lack of resources. So it's an important balance between having the resources to carry out your mandate and at the same time being an effective council representative. But I hope that the Southern diaspora will agree with me that we have certainly bring a new level of awareness to the diaspora, especially since we created the certain events, including the Diaspora Motorcade, which we have been doing for the past 2 years, which have last year we have in excess of 2,000 participants. We have the creation of the Jamaica Diaspora Southern USA, where we seek to highlight those trailblazing Jamaicans in the southern states and to exclude and to honor them by putting them in a special event known as the Hall of Fame for Jamaicans. And of course, the creation of the Jamaican Men of Florida that is particularly structured to engage our younger generation of Jamaican men and to provide a forum and to provide a voice and to provide a structure for just a general inspiration. Outside of that, Shauna, everything else is pretty much the same. We have discussed, you know, you and I and Dr. Dunkley, we spent too many time on the phone. So outside of that, everything is as what everyone else has said. It is indeed my privilege.
Thank you, Dr. Cunningham. And I will say, Dr. Cunningham, he didn't mention earlier, but he's also the team lead for the Prosperity Working Group. Did you want to speak about, is your video circulating? I didn't see that. If not, then I'd like to give you a moment to speak about your team, the Prosperity.
Again, Yvette, you might probably need to help me remember the members of the team. I know I have Yvette Blackburn, I have Naila, I have Mrs. Angela Rose. I don't remember the members of the team right now, Sean. I'm sorry. I've just been traveling and I just got in front of the computer, so I don't remember much about the members of the team. But what I do know is that we have met with several key stakeholders and legacy partners in trying to ascertain the structure that we should operate under. Bear in mind that the Prosperity team was formed less than 2 years ago, and especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. But nonetheless, we have tried our very best. We have engaged in effective communication with these legacy partners via the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Angela Rose, which we are happy to have her leading the charge as well. And outside of that, we have put in place a structure for, if not me, then the next person will be the chair of the Prosperity may want to look at. So that's it, Sean.
So much. All right, and then so the last member of the elected members is actually myself. I'm in the West, but we are going to go to a quick break, and then once we get back, you'll be speaking with me and my challenges in my region.
persons joining from itinerary, select Exhibitor Hall to the left of your screen to see virtual booths from the event's sponsors. Click a booth to visit it. Use the various links to interact with the sponsor's brand.
So we are in a session regarding the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. What were our successes and what are things that we can look for moving in the next steps? We are now discussing myself on the region of the USA West region. And the challenges, I think, in my region are primarily because we have a large number of undocumented persons in my region. I sit on the Peace Working Group for my mandate, and my team lead is Mr. Wayne Golding Sr. One of the things that we have been trying to reach out with persons who are undocumented in my region is by obtaining birth certificates and passports for them, because we have, being a sanctuary state over on the West Coast in California where I am, we have many resources that are available to persons who are undocumented. I want to thank specifically from PICA, Miss Stephanie Gordon, Miss Molly Henry, and Mr. Rowan Walsh. I also, from the DC Embassy, Miss Norma, who is always willing to help me when I call, and from the New York Consulate, Mr. Corey White, who's been instrumental whenever I hit a hiccup, who he's always willing to help. So I want to thank those persons. And for the persons in my region, the challenge I find is that we in the diaspora, we have a tendency to think that because we're undocumented, we should hide. And I think one of the things that I want to emphasize and use this time to emphasize to persons who are watching or sharing with your family members is now is the time for us to be aware of all the things that are happening and resources that are available to undocumented persons within the United States and within other regions as well. And so your consulates, your embassies, please reach out to them, because all the staff there are, their entire being is making sure that they are reaching out to you guys and assisting you when you come in to do whatever it is, whether it is you need your passport or your birth certificate. Because in our regions, and primarily the West, there are countless resources that are available, especially even during the pandemic. During the pandemic, there was a $1,500 grant that was being afforded to persons who were undocumented, that they were able to get through the coronavirus pandemic. There are health benefits that are available in our region. So we want to make sure that we are reaching out to your diaspora leaders, your consulates, and your embassies in order to make sure that you at least get documentation from Jamaica when there's meaning your passport and your birth certificate, right? In addition to being on the Peace Working Group, I serve as the vice chair for the council, and I had the lovely opportunity to travel with the Minister of State, Minister Leslie Campbell, who is our chair for the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, and we traveled to Ireland on as guests of the IOM, the International Organization for Migration, and one of the things that I found that was very integral in that meeting is there were more than 20 countries who were invited. And the interesting thing was they invited Jamaica because they wanted to hear from us how we're doing so well in engaging our diaspora. And it's so very funny that our diaspora, we have so many additional concerns, but I want to emphasize that at that meeting, there were all these countries looking at us saying, okay, you guys are doing something right. Tell us what it is that you're doing. And so Minister Campbell presented exceptionally well, and the feedback, we were able at that meeting to have bilateral relations as well as multilateral relations. But in these bilateral meetings, the conversation that these heads of missions were asking for him to give us our best practices that we do. I do know that one of the main things in the US as well is regarding diaspora voting. And so there were members there from Senegal, from Fiji, and from two other countries, I can't remember at this time, but engaged in conversation with our director of affairs and was able to discuss, even though that was not on the agenda, we did carve out the time so that we were able to talk about things that matters to you. And so I wanted, as I take the time to say that I know there are a lot of things that we can get better, but I want you to know that we're working very hard at making sure that we're engaging you, and we're also speaking up on behalf of the things that matters to you, right? On the panel, is Kashane joining us? Is there another panelist? Because we do have a few minutes left, and I want to be able to get some questions. I have here Miss Kashane Denton. Is Kashane online? She is the chair for the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council.
Hi, Shauna.
Hi, Kashane. How are you?
I'm well-ish.
Tell me about some of the challenges that the youth are having.
I think, first of all, that we've all had similar challenges since the start of the pandemic. It's been next to impossible for us to meet in person, but where there are challenges, that the youth will rise. And so we've done a great deal in terms of engaging persons virtually. I know that my other colleagues spoke about the challenges of doing the work, especially the part that says it takes cash to care. A lot of the stuff that we have been doing that's not been sponsored over the last 3 years, it's been coming out of pocket. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our previous chairperson, Ms. Tanisha Westcar. She has gone above and beyond where that is concerned to ensure that we are running with those costs. And, we're looking to kind of smooth out the process for an operational budget. That's one of our greatest challenges, because we're hyped and we're ready and we have all these thoughts, and then we get stopped in our tracks because we can't move forward without the support. And I know there's a lot of moral and volunteer support that comes from not just the members of the council, the members of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council or other members, and of course the community. But then it goes like, we need this amount of money, or we want to support this, but it takes this amount of cash. And we have had to we're revisiting the same pockets over and over. And so if it would be great if persons would, come on board and pledge their support, or at least have a more streamlined process in organizing funding towards the initiatives that not just the Youth Council, but the Global Council as a mechanism for engagement that we take on, because that would really make our lives much more easier. We don't have to be waiting around and, starting all these fundraisers just to try to get to where we need to get to. We already have it, like at the start of the year, this is your budget, and we run with it. It would definitely make our lives easier. That for me is the top challenge. Of course, also, I know that last year in our symposium, we did bring it up, as well as, I believe, the partnership working group, Dr. Brown, getting to people outside of the traditional areas. The UK, the US, and Canada has always been the most engaged in diaspora relations. And I think that's one of the things that we see coming back, where people are saying, oh, what are you doing in these regions? Especially even for the Youth Council, we had persons who are in the Caribbean who are not living in Jamaica, obviously, who they feel like they're not identified as part of the diaspora. And so one of those challenges is getting in contact with these people, because we found that there was not an exhaustive list or a very extensive list of persons or a distribution list that we could leverage to make people aware of our existence, what our mandate is, and to really get them involved. And so that was one of the challenges. And then really, in order to engage those people, to allow for, projects or opportunities. And so that was something that we highlighted. And out of that, we've reached out to persons in Asia, of course, the Caribbean, and other parts of Europe, thanks to, again, some of these very persons that I'm sitting next to, who have leveraged their networks as well to bring people on board. And I know that, they've started to put together a directory, which we hope will make that process a little smoother. And coming out of that also was, I'm going to be a shameless plug here, Dr. Brown, for the Birthright program, which we're hoping that you know, it's really taking, shout out to Grace and of course the Grace Kennedy Foundation has been supporting this along the way. And I know Dr. Brown spoke about it early in the conference, but we're using their model and expanding it to build a mechanism to engage second, third, fourth, whatever generation Jamaicans, and to build that affinity for the country. Because if you've never really been and experienced it the way those of us who were lucky enough to be born there and spend some of our formative years there have experienced it, then it might be hard for you to figure out where your place is as part of the diaspora. And I think that was also a challenge for youth. Being born outside of Jamaica, they felt a sense of not belonging too much, as you know, for those who were born there. And so one of the challenges was letting them know that, you know, this is a space for everyone. It's not just for those who were born there or have, you know, visited every summer or whatever it is. Like, regardless of where your nationalities come through your history, you are welcome. So I think those are kind of the top challenges. But as you can see, we've also not just held on to the challenges, we're actively working, you know, to put things in place to help resolve those challenges.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Denton. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll grab 2 questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Find the Jamaica Business Development Corporation brings ideas to life. From concept to market, we're here to guide micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. Nurturing talent. Developing products. Providing expert advice. Creating business solutions. How can we help you? The JBDC, supporting small businesses in Jamaica. Traveling to Jamaica with unaccompanied shipment? The Jamaica Customs Agency is encouraging all air passengers with unaccompanied shipments who have a taxpayer registration number, TRN, to present it to Customs upon arrival. This will subsequently facilitate faster processing when clearing your unaccompanied shipments. The Jamaica Customs Agency will continue to implement measures to improve our service delivery and your service experience. You may contact us at 876-922-5140-8 or email public.relations@jca.gov.jm on this and other customs-related matters. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
At Jamaica National, when we say we'll help you find a way, it's a promise. We're finding ways to package our products and services to improve your life. Ask about how JN Bank and JNGI are putting home ownership and protecting your home and contents within your reach. See how JN Money is making it so much more convenient to send and receive funds and do bill payment in Jamaica. The JN Bank offers you structured savings plans to help you save in the currency you earn towards long-term goals like owning a home in Jamaica. Ask about these life-improving products and services and so much more.
All right, and we're back. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. And we only have a few short minutes left. And so if there are any burning questions at this time, I would like to accommodate. And we have one question. Are you stretching, or is that your question? Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead. All right.
Very, very burning question. This is my 5th Diaspora conference, and I am from an area that is very well unrepresented. Okay? Every time I do things for Jamaica, I have to tag on to the Northeast, and I am from the Midwest.
Ah, that's my region, yes.
Nothing mentioned about the Midwest here. And the Midwest has, you know, the states, Iowa,
yes,
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, North and South Dakota, those places. And we are unrepresented. And if I look at what's the purpose of this global diaspora representative is supposed to be, concerned with the 17 sustainable goals of the United Nations, their national goals, and your success is measured by participation that there is a lot of Jamaicans in the diaspora that are omitted from all of this and unrepresented. There's thousands of Jamaicans, thousands of diasporans that are excluded. And we want to know, I want to know, just how to get representation in that area. And I'm not speaking only for myself, I'm speaking for the many Jamaicans that are living in that area. And every time I have to do something, it's single-handedly and leaning on Claudia Call and Dr. Duncan. So we want to know today, just moving forward, what is going to be done.
Thank you so much for that question. I'm very glad you asked that question because we just had a conversation with myself and Dr. Davidson earlier, because I think one of the main things is the role of representation and what representation means. Representation from the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council is not a representative to you in the diaspora. What you've done in the diaspora for elections is you have elected a person from within that region who you have said, all right, we want you to sit as an advisor to this council. But as far as for your actual representative, that is not the specific role based on the terms of reference of the council. While I engage on the council as far as for deepening the engagement and talking with persons regarding what we're doing on the council, implementing particular programs, whereas the Northeast, where you're talking about with Ms. Claudette and her health program, unfortunately, based on how the working groups are set up, I sit on a working group that we are specifically about peace. So unfortunately, I don't engage in the health programs. We also have a health lead who sits on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, Dr. Christopher Parker, who I need to figure out which which group he sits on, but we also have those members who are specific. We have a member who is specifically related for health programs. So if it is something that you want to do with health, Dr. Parker is the best person to liaison with. Whereas the Northeast does have those engagements. Unfortunately, from the West, I have made the specific decision in not formalizing, only because we have had, and Dr. Dunkley, Dr. Cunningham, and myself have had significant at-length conversations regarding the I hate to use the word confusion, but sometimes there tends to be, when we're all working outside of the working group that we're out of and outside of the mandate, it then leads you in the diaspora to have a certain expectation that unfortunately is just not within my role. Yes, Dr. Davidson? And remember, we have 1 minute, Dr. Davidson. What Dr. Davidson is saying is that as a representative, you have the representatives for the regions are the honorary consuls, the consul generals, your embassies, right? So as far as for the role of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, I'm not a representative in that sense, more than I am the representative who sits as an advisor to the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, to the Department of Diaspora Affairs and Protocol. Yes, Ms. Claudette, and we have to, I'm getting the notice, and even when I'd like to say, when we have to break and when we end, we will have time to continue the conversation in studio. So I will be able to get back to you. We just will have to break and cut from.
Yes, thanks Desmond for raising that, and thanks Shauna for the response. But that response, I hope there is a representative here from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, because it has to be clarified.
All right.
And are we able to respond?
Can I respond?
Sorry, Daniel.
All right. Sorry. All right. Diaspora, let me say this one thing. We are Jamaicans and we work together as Jamaicans. So We are all active in the engagement with our communities, but in addition to that, it is advisors to the ministry. It's important for us to have the dialogue with the diaspora to understand the issues and to relay those things, and where you might need advocacy as well. This is where we're here to support. Now, my esteemed colleague who sits as the vice chair has alluded that there are other members within the Diaspora Council that can assist with things. And what I would ask you to do is reach out to the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council representatives. On the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, you have contact details for each of those representatives. But you know, the engagement in terms of the community, do not get this wrong. You know, we are there to also engage the community as well. I'll hand over to my colleague, Yvette.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, Nathaniel, for bringing forward that clearly, because
I would like to complete this. This has been a year you all were elected. We and Dr. Karen Dunkley took this diaspora to a different level. We appreciated the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. What would be the need to just have a representative? She took it to the next level. We were always there. I have been in the diaspora movement for several years. Not saying she has done something that no one else has done, but we have a think tank, and everyone is busy in their own sector. And I really, truly believe that's how it should be. And I would really like to get a meeting and a response from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, because it's coming up again for an election, and persons need to know what it's all about.
Absolutely. I also think that that is a source that we really need to have a conversation and have a clarification, because when there is confusion within the diaspora regarding what our role is and what our terms of reference mandates for us to do, then that causes a rift between the diaspora. And I absolutely agree with that. Unfortunately, that is our time in studio online, but this is a conversation that I personally want to make sure that we get to the bottom of that. So we have here members from the ministry team who are on standby so that we can continue this conversation, as well as online in our Facebook groups. We can engage in the dialogue. I'm involved in the groups as well, so I'll see your messages if you contact me. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you very much for engaging us, and we look forward to the outcomes of today's session. Thank you for all my panelists who are with me, from the elected members, and to all the sector members and the leads who are not on the panel today, but who are very actively involved in our group chat and who has been very supportive. Thank you to all the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council members.
Fellow Jamaicans, my name is Dr. Alan Cunningham, and I'm the chair of the Prosperity Team. The Global Jamaica Diaspora Council proposed 8 policies. From these objectives, we had the birth of the 5 pillars for execution, including Team Prosperity. Please allow me to introduce our executive members. From Canada, we have Ms. Naila Gordon-Desestil. From Asia and the Pacific area, we have Dr. Nicolene Johnson, Mistress Nicole Littlejohn from Chile, Mistress Elizabeth Molling-Simmet from the UK, Miss Yvette Blackburn from Canada, and Mrs. Angela Rose Howell from the Secretariat. The Global Jamaica Prosperity Team focuses on trade, diaspora, tourism, knowledge, and innovation. Our major task is to identify and promote strategic business linkages using Brand Jamaica to enhance competitive advantage for trade, investment, and international market access. We are also charged with encouraging diaspora involvement in job creation and innovation. Some key initiatives include encourage capacity building in entrepreneurship, wealth creation, financial literacy, and trade facilitation, to ensure the promotion of diaspora tourism, to promote the expansion of Jamaican goods and services